and welcome to Coxie's Picks, and today we're going to be looking at modifying these glorious shims from those clever boys and girls over at Southern Specialties. Now, why do we need to modify them? Because they work great out of the packet. Well, let me just show you. I'll get a set of TCH. So here we have this is a set of Hyats, but it's the same triple pull system. What we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate what is one of my bugbears with shims, and I'm going to show you how you can do any shim. You can bypass, you can change the profile and make it more efficient. So when you reach into the cuff, like so, you go between the bow and the body, so you can see that, bow and body, and you go in between, and there's a little groove for you to go through. Now there's a hard stop. Now everyone says when you reach the hard stop, touch the bow, just like so, and then you can push the shim into place. Well, that's great when you're doing it on the bench. When you're doing it on your wrists, it can be more challenging, especially when you contort yourself into random positions. Why does that happen? It doesn't just happen with these ones, it happens with the majority of shims, because when they're laser cut, this is what the profile of the shim looks like. So I've made this really big so it's easy to see. It's a flat edge from the laser cut. So this would be 0.3 mil. This is this edge of the shim. So not the chunky side, the thin side, it's just here. This is what we're reflecting here. Now, why is that a problem for us? Well, when we're coming into the handcuff, here we are, I've really earned my Blue Peter badge today. Right, you can see that as it comes in, it hits the hard stop. Now, when we squeeze on the bow, this pushes it down a touch and gives us mechanical advantage, and then allows us to force it all the way through so that we can then sit the shim over the top. If we were to change the profile of this edge ever so slightly, right, I'm going to demonstrate this very quickly by just doing that and then that. Arts and crafts, as you can see. Right, you can see now that we mate in lovely, and the shim can then ride up. Now it's got nowhere to go at the top because you've got the bow, so it's forcing the spring-loaded pull down. So as you can see, it just forces it down, which then allows us to get through, and we haven't had to touch the bow. The shim has done all the work. So how can we adjust a shim to be as effective shape like that? Well, believe it or not, it doesn't actually require much effort on your part. All it does require is a good file and your shim that you want to modify. Now I'm going to demonstrate here what I would do. It doesn't have to be exact, but you hold it at 45 degrees and you're going back and forward, so one pattern like this, and then flip it back and forth. Now my personal preference is to get rid of the finger traps on the corners, which are the sharp edges, because obviously if I can't see what I'm doing, I'm using my fingers, but that's my personal preference. These have been smoothed off by Southern Specialties, right, by putting them in the tumbler, so they are actually quite smooth to your finger, they're not sharp. But some other commercial shims or your DIY shims might have sharp edges, so to get rid of that is a case of having it that way round and then doing a 45 and a 45, and that's it. So I'm going to show now what happens, right, once we've tweaked it. So bear with me, I'm just going to put 45s on both sides and then come back. Okay, so I've quickly filed the ends here, right, and what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate the difference now. So as we get so we've done both sides, but I'm only going to be using this side for the European cuff. So it's going to go in just like before, right. You feel a little bit of resistance, but you just push, and lo and behold, I didn't have to touch the bow, it slid right under. Now that gives you a massive advantage when you're performing on stage or wherever you need to, alright, but obviously law enforcement uses the double lock, right, and this is all for fun and pure escapology. So now you can see that we've got that little edge just changed ever so much, and again it just smooths in just like silk, and that is how I change the profile. Now what you can do on your own custom shims is use some pound 40s grade steel wool, right, and then polish this up ever so finely, right. However, if you're really paranoid about it, then a thin touch of brasso or metal polish, Wobpol, something like that, just to make it super shiny. The shinier this is, right, the less friction you'll have, and it will go through smooth as silk. But as you can see, this particular one from Southern Specialties has been tumbled and polished before I received it, so I don't need to polish this particular one. But there we are. So that's a quick spruce up on a shim, and thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.